Hello and welcome to Billy Ho Sports. This week's Derby preps are finally going to put us on solid ground for all the top contenders. In fact, I'm going to personally wait till after this weekend's races to start doing like top contenders, top tens, and all that kind of good stuff content wise, because I don't think it's fair to judge until that final prep is in for some of these horses that we're going to be previewing today, especially in the Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland, that's the focus of this video. So obviously the legendary Keeneland opening weekend is going to be great. Just wanted to give you guys a public service announcement. If you do plan on attending, dress appropriately because we're having a massive drop in temperatures today and the rest of the week. It's going to be below 50 degrees on opening day Friday and probably low 50s Saturday. Very chilly days ahead for Lexington and Louisville alike, where I'm at. So, also, they're having massive construction at Keeneland, just like they are at Churchill Downs. They're doing upgrades to the paddock area and all that kind of good stuff. So, if you don't have a parking pass or a handicap permit, you're not getting in the lot. You're going to have to go park over in the meadows. So, keep that in mind. But they do have shuttle service, so you don't have any problems there. So, on to the race. Bluegrass Stakes race history has not been kind to producing Kentucky Derby winners. We have not had one since 1991. I believe that was Strike the Gold. So let's take a look at the field. Okay, the Bluegrass Stakes, mile and an eighth around the main track, worth 100 points to the winner. Field of 11, and your morning line favorite is going to be Sierra Leone at 2-1. Dornoch, second choice, 3-1. Number one top Connor is trained by Chad Brown, Jose Ortiz aboard. This son of Twirling Candy broke his maiden in his first and only start, 15-1. Got to see it first. Not really interested in that one. Number two, BU is trained by Todd Pletcher, sired by Curlin, ridden by Irad Ortiz. He just broke his maiden in his third start of 2024, and he has 6 starts overall. He's got a lot of experience, some of it very good grade 1 experience. He ran in the grade 1 Hopeful back in September, finished 4th there. Also, the grade 1 American Pharaoh at Santa Anita in October and finished 3rd there. Could be making for a solid value play, so stick around to the end and you'll see my selections, and maybe possibly this Todd Pletcher colt will land in the field. So, number 3, Seize the Gray. Dwayne Lucas, the wise guy horse, kind of impressed in his 2024 campaign, came out with that big, strong allowance effort at Oaklawn versus some good horses, and then came over to Turfway Park and ran a pretty good 3rd in the Jeff Ruby. He looked like he was making a pretty bold move around the turn, and then so was Encino. He ran into some trouble with Encino getting the inside advantage on him, and then he was pushed wide, and then he looked like he tried to turn it back inside, and then he just kind of looked a little bit tilted there for a couple of seconds, and then he just ran on, and he did claim the 3rd place. So 20-1 seems a little long to me for him, so I think I'm going to be keeping an eye on him. So I like the Grays. Gray Day. They always say bet gray horses on a gray day. Pretty positive we're going to have a gray day Saturday. So keep that in mind. Dornoch, number 4. Danny Gargan is the trainer. Luis Saez, once again aboard, rode him in the maiden and then jumped back on him impressively. Grade 2, Remsen. If you've watched any of my preview videos, you've seen this race. Excellent. He took the lead into the stretch. Sierra Leone runs up on him and catches him, passes him briefly, and then he finds another gear, comes back to get him on the inside by just a nose, setting up this highly anticipated rematch between these two horses. So very excited to see this one. Another horse that's going to be kind of an interesting one is number 5, Good Money. 4th place finish at the Tampa Bay Derby for trainer Chad Brown. He gets Javier Castellanos, so I will call that a jockey upgrade. He set the pace early on, and the rest were just content to let him go out there. He set some of the slower fractions we've seen all Derby Trail, 51 seconds plus in the half mile, 116 for the 3/4 mile. So he had plenty of horse when they hit the stretch, and he nearly pulled off the upset. They thought they were going to get him. Then he showed a little bit more power, but he finally did weaken in just the final few strides to allow Domestic Product and Company to fly by at the wire. So interesting horse. Not sure he's going to get this distance. It's going to be tough. So we'll keep an eye. Number 6, Just a Touch, making just his third start for trainer Brad Cox. Coming off a nice second place finish at that grade 2 Gotham at Aqueduct on a sloppy sealed track. And if you watch that preview video, I warned that he'd be bet down too far. And he did end up going off as the 8-5 favorite, just making his second career start in that race. So Flojo back in the saddle, but he ran a good race. He was down. He was really, really wide in the stretch, but he was plodding on home there and did kind of catch his stride pretty late, but he was no match for the winner there. So Just a Touch could be an interesting value play. Lat Long, number 7, Kenny McPeak is the trainer. Brian Hernandez is up, sired by Leon's Map. Ran impressively, third place in the Lecomte Stakes. He was right behind Track Phantom and Nash, well ahead of the 4th place finisher. He dug in pretty good down the stretch, but he wasn't going to catch the top 2. But you never know. He might try to catch a piece here. So number 8 is Epic Ride. This was a runner-up in the John Battaglia Memorial at Turfway just a little while back. He's trained by John Ennis. Made a serious outside move around the 3/4 pole in this race and hit the stretch in the lead, but just was unable to hold off the late rally by Encino, who's also in this race. Adam Beschiza will return to ride this Son of Blame. So Epic Ride is an interesting candidate. Number 9, Mugatu, not so much an interesting candidate in my opinion. Jeff Engler is the trader. Joe Talamo, I'm sorry, will ride. Going to try to get a piece here. 8th place in the Rushway Stakes, 4th in the John Battaglia. So I don't see him getting any closer than that here. So now on to number 10, Sierra Leone. Chad Brown star, Tyler Gaffleone in the back in the saddle, coming off his dethroning, so to speak, of Track Phantom at the fairgrounds in the grade 2 Risen Star. He was making his first start of 2024 in that race, but he had just been off for maybe about 70 days from his close call to Dornoch in that Remsen. So I think he'll be fitter coming into this race, as will Dornoch. So those two are going to be an interesting duo. Obviously, Sierra Leone is a closer, and we talked about Track Bias earlier. Also closing, number 11 Encino rounds out the field from the outside post. Trained by Brad Cox. No issues getting the job done from said outside post, as he was the number 12 horse in the John Battaglia Stakes, easily passing up Epic Ride under the lights. So Flavian Pratt will get the mount. Going to be trying to be an upset candidate. So very interesting set of horses. Now let's take a look at some past performances. So like I said, this is going back to the fall meet, and the Track Bias did favor the speed early on, pressing type speed. And this is for 9 furlongs. Only 9 races ran during this short meet. But that's pretty solid foundation, sample size, so to speak. So we'll have to keep that in mind when we're handicapping. And back up to the top, obviously, 1 1/8. So what we're looking at, I think also I'm interested in some of these all-weather tracks, like the Turfway course, moving back to dirt, because I think that will mark some improvement for some. Top Connor might be proven good down the road, but I need to see it. BU is an interesting candidate for Todd Pletcher. Like I said, lots of experience down here and runs pretty well and has faced some decently fast paces. This is the kind of pace I see the race running at, just about a +2 early on, +5, somewhere in that range, just a real fair, even pace type. So I think, This is Repo Stables, owner of Fierceness, who's already in the Derby. I think they like this one's chances. A second place finish puts them in the race, so good chance for that. If one of the two top dogs falter, number 3 Sees the Gray, I think is interesting. And I notice if you look the back, Nick Juarez riding. I would kind of like maybe a better jock. Well, I'm not going to dog any kind of jockeys, but he doesn't have a really great win percentage. He's about 9%. So I wouldn't put him in the category of winning, but he could get in there for a piece of the pie. I think this Son of Arrogate is a pretty good horse for D. Wayne Lucas. Might see him on Derby Day, possibly. So keep a lookout if he doesn't make the big race. Obviously, Dornoch, we are going to get into him and in my final analysis. But main thing with him, his ability to get out to the lead is going to give him a big advantage. He can run this plus 12. He was able to hold off Sierra Leone in a little bit faster pace race. And then the little bit slower race in the Fountain of Youth, he was still pressed by Lodombro and Frankie's Empire. But I think if he gets in this plus 3 range, I think he'll be just fine. Good money. Like I said, it was a really slow pace at Tampa Bay. So I don't know. He ran a little bit faster at 7 furlongs and 1. It's going to be tough for me to see him hold on to the lead. If they do let him get out there. Just a Touch is another one that's interesting. Brad Cox. That second place was pretty solid at the Gotham. So I'm interested there. I think I've lost a little bit of interest in old Lat Long. But anyway, pass on him probably because there's just too many horses. Epic Ride, horses like that with early speed. It's going to be really hard for these horses to compete with a horse like Dornoch up top. Mugatu, I'm definitely passing on. And then these two are, I think, going to be in good shape to clean up the pieces. If Sierra Leone, Chad Brown changes strategies up and gets him a little bit closer, because one thing I did notice is the stretch run is a little bit shorter at Keeneland than it is at Fairgrounds. So that might be significant. So let's get down to the nitty gritty and see our final analysis. Ultimately, I think Dornoch has the advantage. He's going to get the win, in my opinion, because he's got that speed to get out front and I think hold off everybody. Sierra Leone, that sloppy track and fast pace in the Remsen, but I was excellent, obviously, and I loved him in the last race to upset Track Phantom, and he did so. But I see this race running more like the Fountain of Youth. But similar to what Fierceness did at Gulfstream, I think Dornoch will be in better shape. He's been breezing at 4 furlongs for the last 7 weeks, so I think he comes in fit and ready to rock. So Dornoch on top, but I Sierra Leone I think is the most likely runner-up, but Encino could be right there. Sees the Gray might be close if he gets a better trip. So BU is interesting as kind of a wild card with the experience, and also Just a Touch, who I did leave off of my selections, but Just a Touch is somebody I would definitely consider. But BU is kind of a wild card. Although he is sired by Curlin and bred to run long, he hasn't proven that he can yet. So that will do it for the Bluegrass preview. Be on the lookout for more Kentucky Derby content. We got 2 more preps to cover this week. So best of luck this week, and we will see you soon.